Good morning, Sonor family. Jules here, and it is Monday morning. Another weekend down, half the year almost wrapped up, another month almost wrapped up. I'm feeling a little introspective today. I actually have just gotten really digging in lately on the website. I don't mean the forum, but the website itself. And I was working on a blog, and I just happened to notice that I really was kind of digging in this morning. And I said, this is probably uh, better for the coffee with Jules. So I'm going to kind of go over what I was working on here. Um, it's been a pretty wild 6 months. Actually going back to November when the spark was lit that kind of ignited. And I'm not trying to make too much of this, but closing out last year up until November. Um, I'd had a couple of false starts with getting this channel going, the YouTube channel, and things happened thanks to Mike Eckert at Atlanta Drum Shop, who's a great guy. And any chance you get to do business with him, if you don't have a local dealer, let him be your local dealer, even if he's clear across the country. But anyway, he put me in a position where I was able to really kick things off here. And like I said, I'd had a couple of false starts. And thanks to him and some really good timing with several things, it worked out that you know, went from 25 subscribers on YouTube to well over 1,000 now. 42,000 views is where Todd's at with that interview. And then we've got Gavin Harrison has a lot. And the top three are well into the, five digits. Anyway, not bragging. I mean, this isn't about me. This is about the people I was interviewing. And it just really worked out good that I was able to do some things. Looking back, if I had it to do all over again, I would push a little harder, or I wouldn't push harder. I would actually open up some of the interviews a little differently. When you watch the YouTube channel and you hear the hit the like and subscribe button, you know, it kind of falls on deaf ears after a while. You almost ignore it. It's just in one ear and out the other. And so I didn't do that to start with because of the fact I wouldn't say I found it annoying, but I don't want to like and subscribe every damn thing I see. And I don't think everybody else necessarily does either. But, you know, we had over 15,000 views in the first 20 hours with Todd. And I think if I'd have pushed a little harder to get people to like and subscribe, the channel would be bigger. And this isn't a thing of ego. I'm going to feel better when I've got more subscribers than Joe Blow or whatever. It's not about that at all. Monetization would be nice. I've got enough subscribers, but I guess I'm lacking now on the recent number of watch hours. And the reason that's even important, it's not an ego thing. Some of these resources are costing me money, and I don't mind that. But any chance I got to get some of that recovered would be pretty awesome. And I do some of that through the buying and selling of the used Sonar stuff, and that runs hot and cold. And right now it seems to be kind of cold. Anyway, so getting back to the blog I was working on, and where I was going with this is in the blog. I was leading into some of the things that are going on. And I started off as I write this, I have several new things going on with the brand, network, or whatever I should call it. So I want to focus on those two words real quick. Calling it a brand or network it isn't a pretentious thing, even though I feel like it is. Uh, I'm old school about certain things, and even when I'm using, when I'm pronunciating the brand Sonor when it comes to the drums, obviously, when I'm around people that are saying sonar feels right. I mean, I've been saying sonar for 30 years, and so saying sonar doesn't feel natural to me, especially when I'm in the presence of people with the company or affiliated with KHS or whatever, calling it Sonar, and me sitting there saying Sonar. It's kind of funny because you wonder what the perception is. Do they think I don't know how to say sonar? Or do they think I'm being pretentious by saying sonar while they're obviously saying so? And the thing about it is, it's really trivial. I mean, in the overall scheme of life, it's a really trivial thing, I think. But so kind of derailing here, aren't I? So the use of the word brand for what I'm doing is a little new, and it feels a little pretentious to call this a brand. But NBC is a brand, Amazon's a brand, Universal Studios is a brand, just to name a few examples of things that, I'm not going to go out and buy a new pair of NBC shoes or order, a Universal Studios bedroom suit, so in my old school context, and sometimes my perception's different than other people. But in my old school context, I'm just not used to brand in that term. So referring to this as a brand sounds a little bit like an attitude or an ego, and it most definitely is not. And then the network part of this, again, this is not me putting on airs or trying to sound more important or sophisticated than I am because I'm neither. But I've got stuff going on YouTube, Reverb, Facebook, Instagram, the drummonstage.com and the drummonstage.com forum. And if my coffee was kicking in any better, there's probably somewhere else I am out there that I'm not thinking about. But how is that not a network? Anyway, just kind of I'm pushing through my own hangups to try to get to what I'm saying. So when I use the terms brand or network, I'm not trying to make this sound bigger than it is. It's just, it is what it is. It is a brand. I mean, in the overall scheme of things, in the modern use of the word, Drum and Stage is most definitely a brand. I've got an official logo. It's not trademarked or registered or anything. If anybody is so destitute for a logo, they steal mine. God help them. But anyway, so moving along, the point I'm trying to get to with all of this is that about 2 years ago, I tried to kick this thing back off, thinking Phil Rudd would be at Coachella, which that was not the name of the event. That was just a location with AC/DC. Turned out he wasn't. And, um, I'm kind of bullheaded. I set out on something, and anything that, when I feel like I'm getting resistance, I kind of, take it that way. And even though sometimes, again, my perception's a little off, sometimes somebody's actually trying to help. They just didn't say what I wanted to hear at the time or what I thought the response should be or whatever. And I'm getting better about it. I've recognized that, and I'm trying to get better about that. But anyway, so the channel didn't kick off a couple of years ago. And then going back to November, I got to go help out at Atlanta Drum Shop for Todd Zuckerman's master class, and it was an honor to get to reconnect with Todd after a good number of years. I'd already interviewed him twice and met him several times, and so getting that going again, but then to get to do the podcast where we talked about him going back to Sonor Drums and to get released that less than a day, at less than 24 hours after the announcement came out from Sonor that Todd had returned home, was pretty wild. And in November, I would have never thought that by now we would have, over 1,000 subscribers, which is still a modest number of subscribers. I'm not declaring a victory in that. But it's a lot more than 25. Let me try to move this along. I'm getting bogged down. Got interviews still going on. Got a few big ones that I really want to get, but I'm having trouble making connections. But one thing that is happening, the forum is going, and we're a little over 2 months into the forum, and we're getting good traffic. Considering the fact this is a new forum, I think by the end of the year it's going to be really big because it's just a whole different format than Facebook. You can go on there and you can search for, how do I fix this broken part or what can I use now that they don't make this. We got a lot of that kind of content on there, and it's kind of a hub for videos and information from other sources too. So in the long run, it's going to be a really good source. And Frank Godiva has been, if it hadn't been for that guy, and I didn't even know him before he signed up and just started posting stuff left and right. If it hadn't been for him, we wouldn't be anywhere near where we are now. And he's been very implemental to making that a good landing spot for people that want to go find information or contribute or whatever. But we're only getting started. So end of the year, I think it's going to be booming. And now I've got the Sonor Marketplace, which was recently launched. And at the moment, I've got a problem with people being able to sign up. And that is a problem. And I'm working on it. And again, Frank's helping out. Frank's going in there and trying to sign up, and piece by piece, I'm digging through the possible problems and all that. Thanks to Chat GPT. If you're not using that to reword your commentary or whatever it is, or just going in there and try to do a deep dive, but it's also you got to be careful with it too, because there's nothing verifying the information, and in lack of recent or more solid information, it'll grab anything it sees. A quick and funny example is I was trying to prove a point the other day that Shane Kenny is a big advocate for Sonor drums. Anybody that knows Shane knows that. So I went to Chat GPT and I typed in, what is Shane Kenny's favorite drum brand? And the response I got back was Mapex and Ludwig. And where that came from the text interview that I did with him back in '09. And it's been posted on the Sonor Museum for 15 or 16 years. Maybe not quite that long, but it got up there a long time ago. So it actually, in absence of more solid information, actually gave me an answer from something I had published, all those years ago, and that I would not exactly call accurate. If you asked Shane what his favorite drum brand was, and I'm pretty sure that Shane's favorite drum brand and the drum brand Shane would rely on if he were going out on tour, I think those are two different brands. So, just because something's your favorite, and I'm not going to bet money that that's still Shane's favorite. Maybe by now British drum, British or one of those other brands or something. So anyway, again, I'm getting bogged down. Bear with me. So, thanks to Chat GPT, I've isolated some issues within the framework of the stuff I'm doing, but it's getting kind of expensive because the site isn't free. The site's not very expensive, but every now and then I run into a snag, and I'm this close to being at a plateau, and the only way to get there is to buy this. And of course, you know what that leads to. Now, well, you're this much closer to being here, so, next thing you know, you look in the bank account's just about dry, and Reverb ain't cranking out any sales right now. So, on another note, if you're in the market to buy something I have or may have, or could pretend like I have until I get your money, let me know. I'm in the market to sell something. I got some things coming up and I need some funding for that, but we're not going to go down that road today. So anyway, let me wrap this up. I appreciate everybody that watches a single minute of anything I put out. If you like it or whatever, and if you have not subscribed, I wish you would. Don't mean to beat dead horses, but it really does help. And eventually, monetization is going to kick in, and when it does, that's going to help me pay for some of these things I'm spending money on. Going back to the Sonor Marketplace, I kind of skipped over that. Maybe I need more coffee. Literally, this isn't a show, but the Sonor Marketplace is going to be it is a centralized location for people buying and wanting to sell, or try that again, somebody selling and wanting to buy Sonar stuff. So there's a classified section and a want ad section, and it's free to everybody that uses it. If it ever really caught on, I might would do like a 25 cent per listing kind of thing, but it's actually really cool because there's parameters I can set for how long it runs before it expires, and then you get a notification. So if you post something and you forget you posted it here because you've posted it on the marketplace and 14 other places, it expires after however many days I set, which right now I'm at 45, and I'll go back and review that later after we've got some real time experience. But anyway, so then you get a notification that it's going to expire. Obviously, if you don't have the thing anymore or decided not to sell it, you're going to let it expire, which is fine. If you want to go in there and renew it, you can go in there and renew it. But anyway, it's some really sophisticated software or plug-in really for the site. And it's going to give people a place to post and look for stuff for sale or let people know, hey, I want a 600 series DCS, which is not just a random thing off the top of my head. I do want one. But it's going to be a good thing because again, like the Facebook pages and all that, you go put that out there and it just kind of falls down in the list of things that have been posted on whatever page. This is totally different. It is a purpose built classified software, and it's going to be amazing. And as soon as I get some kinks ironed out, I've already got some items on there. I pulled them all off of. I did not remove them from Reverb. I used the information I'd already posted to Reverb to kind of make it quick and just have some stuff on there so when people go look at it, they're like, hey, wow, this is pretty neat. And on any of this stuff, if you got any suggestions or even constructive criticisms, I'd like to hear it because there's always room for improvement. There's always something I haven't thought of because I've got my mind kind of going in several directions right now. And I'm sure I'm missing something somewhere, several somethings and several somewheres. So by all means, if you see something that's not right or that it could be done better, let me know. I'm always appreciative of input, even if you recommend something I've already tried that didn't work or whatever. And I'm always careful how I respond to that. I don't want to make somebody feel like I'm discounting their input, but sometimes it's a great idea, but it already didn't work, or there was already a better idea. So point is, just because somebody suggests something doesn't necessarily mean it's going to get implemented, but it's a very strong chance of it because I'm on such an elemental level on or elementary level on so much of this stuff. So anyway, I'm tired of hearing myself talk. I got to finish this coffee. I've got to be somewhere in 37 minutes. So, hope you have a good Monday. Please like and subscribe, and we will talk to you later. And I didn't have any jokes for you this morning. And I'm sorry for that. But anyway, thank you for hanging in there, and I'll have some better content out to you soon. Check out drummonstage.com. Go to Sonor Marketplace at the bottom of the page. Click on that. Check it out. Try to sign up. If you can't, I apologize. That is going to get ironed out. I got some new plugins going to get activated tomorrow. They've got to do a whiteboard on my IP address. Right now, these particular plugins are getting blocked. So there are actually some improvements coming from what I'm already doing. So hang in there with me. I appreciate you very much. Have a great week.